This is Stonehenge. For 5,000 years, this circle of massive stones has stood on Salisbury Plain. But how was it actually built? And why did prehistoric people invest centuries of labor into creating it? Today, advanced AI technology allows us to reconstruct what the builders saw. Teams of workers hauling stones, raising pillars, and shaping rock with tools of antler and stone. Join me as we witness Stonehenge's construction unfold across 15 centuries. Long before any stones arrived, this location was already sacred. In 8000 BC, Mesolithic hunter-gatherers raised 3 large wooden posts in what is now the Stonehenge car park. These timber pillars, discovered in 1966, marked the spot as spiritually significant thousands of years before construction began. Around 3900 BC, the area became a massive meeting place where different cultures gathered. Archaeological evidence reveals the remnants of a feast between hunter-gatherers and farming communities, a rare moment of cultural exchange preserved in bone and ash. But the real transformation begins around 3000 BC. Workers armed with picks made from deer antlers dig a circular ditch 110 meters in diameter. They pile the excavated chalk to create an inner bank and outer bank, with entrances on the northeast and south. This back-breaking work creates the basic enclosure, the foundation for everything that follows. Inside the bank, workers dig 56 large pits arranged in a perfect circle. These are the Aubrey holes, named after John Aubrey, who first recorded them in the 17th century. Into these holes, the builders place either upright wooden posts or small stones. The purpose is clear. This is a cremation cemetery. Over the next 500 years, at least 240 individuals, men, women, and children, are cremated, and their remains carefully buried in and around the Aubrey holes. Stonehenge begins as a place of the dead. Around 2500 BC, something extraordinary happens. A group of people arrives from Wales, and they bring their stones with them. These aren't just any stones. They're blue stones from the Prehistoric Hills in southwest Wales, over 140 miles away. Each blue stone weighs up to 4 tons. Transporting them represents one of prehistory's most ambitious engineering projects. Recent discoveries by archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson solved the mystery of why they brought these specific stones. In the Prehistoric Hills stands the remains of Worn Mourn, a dismantled stone circle that matches Stonehenge's original diameter exactly. One of the blue stones at Stonehenge has a distinctive pentagonal shape, and the empty socket at Worn Mourn matches it perfectly. A chip of stone left behind during dismantling fits into this very stone at Stonehenge. The evidence is conclusive. These people didn't just bring stones, they brought their entire sacred monument with them when they migrated. But how did they move 4-ton boulders 140 miles? This is where AI reconstruction helps us visualize the process. Teams of workers, perhaps 90 to 200 people per stone, use wooden sledges placed on greased timber tracks. They pull with thick ropes made from plant fibers. Experiments suggest they could move stones about 10 miles per day. The journey takes roughly 2 weeks of coordinated effort. At rivers, they may have used wicker basket cradles as flotation devices, floating the stones downstream. When terrain becomes rough, workers use wooden rollers underneath the sledges, constantly moving them from back to front as the stone inches forward. This isn't the work of slaves. It's a sacred pilgrimage. Every person hauling these ropes believes they're bringing their ancestors' holy site to a new home. Once at Salisbury Plain, workers arrange the blue stones in a double arc formation known as the Q and R holes. They're not yet in their final position. This is just the first phase. The stones are aligned with astronomical phenomena, just as they were in Wales. The sunrise on the summer solstice perfectly frames through the stone arrangement. This alignment isn't accidental, it's deliberate, calculated, and precisely executed. Around the same time the bluestones arrive, local communities begin an even more ambitious project, the construction of the sarsen stone circle and trilithons that define Stonehenge today. The sarsen stones dwarf the bluestones. Each weighs 20 to 25 tons, the equivalent of 5 male elephants. The tallest stands 9 meters high, with a third of that buried underground for stability. These monsters come from the Marlborough Downs, 20 miles north. Moving them requires hundreds of workers. Imagine the scene. Teams of 500 to 1,000 people hauling on thick ropes, pulling a 25-ton stone on a massive wooden sledge. The sledge sits on timber tracks greased with animal fat. The noise is overwhelming. Shouting coordinators, rhythmic chanting to synchronize pulling. The grinding creak of wood under impossible weight. Children and elderly watch from the sides. This is a community event spanning generations. When a stone reaches the construction site, the real engineering challenge begins. Workers dig a large hole with one sloping side. The back of the hole is lined with wooden stakes to prevent the stone from toppling backward. Plant fiber ropes, some as thick as a man's arm, are attached to the top of the stone. Hundreds of people pull on these ropes, while others use wooden levers to tip the stone upward. The most likely method, suggested by experiments on Easter Island, involves repeatedly rocking the stone from side to side with levers, each time placing small stones underneath the lifted edge. Slowly, incrementally, the massive megalith rises from horizontal to vertical. It's dangerous work. One slip could crush men beneath 25 tons of stone. When the stone finally stands upright, workers pack the hole tight with rubble and chalk, creating a foundation that will last millennia. But the most impressive feat is yet to come, raising the horizontal lintels. Each lintel weighs 7 to 8 tons and must be lifted 4 meters into the air to rest atop the upright stones. Workers build timber platforms, massive temporary scaffolding rising beside each stone. Using levers, they incrementally raise the lintel onto higher and higher platforms, like building a wooden staircase to the sky. Once at the correct height, they slide the lintel into position. The engineering precision is astonishing. The uprights have protruding tenons carved on top, wooden joinery techniques applied to stone. The lintels have corresponding mortise holes carved into their undersides. When the lintel settles into place, the tenon fits into the mortise, locking the stones together. Adjacent lintels connect using tongue and groove joints, again borrowing from woodworking traditions. This isn't primitive. It's sophisticated engineering requiring mathematical precision and intimate knowledge of materials. Shaping these massive stones is equally impressive. Workers use sarsen hammerstones, smaller pieces of sarsen stone, to pound the surface of the megaliths for hundreds of hours. Large quantities of sarsen chips and broken hammerstones have been found in the field north of Stonehenge. Teams of stonemasons work in shifts, hammering, chiseling, smoothing. The surfaces we see today as rough and weathered were once dressed smooth, their shapes carefully crafted. Between 2470 and 2280 BC, workers build the avenue, a ceremonial pathway leading from the Henge to the River Avon, nearly 2 miles away. The avenue is aligned with the summer solstice sunrise and winter solstice sunset. On the longest day of the year, someone standing at the center of Stonehenge would see the sun rise perfectly between the two tallest stones. On the shortest day, the sunset aligns through the same gap. This astronomical precision reveals sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics. The builders track the sun's movement over years, identifying the exact points where it rises and sets on the solstices. They then align the entire monument to these cosmic events. Some scholars argue Stonehenge functions as a solar calendar. The 30 sarsen uprights might represent a 30-day month. Certain stones could mark the start of 10-day weeks. The 56 Aubrey holes might track lunar cycles. Around the time the sarsen stones are erected, another massive construction project begins 2 miles away at Durrington Walls. Workers build a huge timber circle aligned with the winter solstice sunrise, opposite to Stonehenge's alignment. Archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson speculates this represents the land of the living, while Stonehenge is the land of the dead. The River Avon connects the two, serving as a processional route between life and death. Evidence of massive feasts has been found at Durrington Walls, pig bones showing thousands of animals slaughtered and cooked for huge gatherings. The people come together on the solstices, processing from the timber circle, life, along the avenue to Stonehenge, death, celebrating the turning of the year and honouring their ancestors. Around 1600 BC, the last major construction occurs, the Y and Z holes, two rings of pits that are dug but never filled with stones. After this, Stonehenge's active use declines. The Bronze Age gives way to the Iron Age. New religions and monuments capture attention. Stonehenge becomes a ruin, its purpose forgotten, its builders unknown. Romans visit and leave pottery. Medieval people believe it's the work of giants or wizards. In 1620, King James I orders architect Inigo Jones to investigate. Jones concludes it's a Roman temple. He's wrong, but it sparks centuries of speculation. In the 1800s, serious archaeology begins. John Lubbock's excavations in 1862 discover cremated human remains, revealing the Bronze Age date. In the 1900s, multiple restoration projects re-erect fallen stones and set them in concrete. Some criticize this as destroying authenticity, but without intervention, Stonehenge would have continued collapsing. Today, 2.5 million people visit Stonehenge annually. On the summer solstice, thousands gather to watch the sunrise, continuing a tradition 4,500 years old. Modern Druids hold ceremonies, though their connection to the builders is romantic fiction rather than historical fact. If you are interested in more history videos, subscribe to the channel.